Okay, this is a very pretty little ring made of the blossoms that you've learnt to make in the previous item, and also these roses, and these are mini roses, really tiny, and as you can see, if I put my thumbnail near it, it's just about that size. So, and it's made the quick method with the blossom cutter, and exactly the same as the larger rose, and we've used this tiny blossom cutter to make the roses. So again, another use for your set of blossom cutters. So what I'm going to do is you already know how to make these roses, I'm just actually, and the blossom, I'm going to show you how to assemble this ring. Now to do this, I've made 40 small leaves. I've got 12 blossom picks with just 2 blossom on each pick, and 12 of the white ones, and we've got, whoops, let me pick them up. We've got a dozen of the red roses. They're so pretty, they're so dainty. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off with a piece of wire. Now I've used an 18 gauge wire, but if you haven't got any thick wire like this, and I actually picked this up from a florist's shop. I just happened to see it, and it's a nice sturdy piece of wire. You could actually put together some 24 gauge wire. Perhaps 3 of them would make a nice sturdy base for your ring. And at the end of it, I've made a loop and twisted it in. I've done it before to now, because I've had to use a pair of pliers and just bend that in so it's not going to catch on my fingers when I start taping the leaves to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with some tape, and we're going to start taping the flowers to the ring, and it's just a matter of putting them onto the wire. So if we start off, and I want to cover that wire, that loop a little bit, because I don't want to see that when we put the ring together. So I start off over that. That's why I wanted that wire bent in properly so it didn't cut my finger when I started off. So I'm going to start with a couple of leaves there. So it's just a matter of actually adding on the flowers and leaves as you go along. So we're going to put a couple of leaves, and we're going to put some yellow blossom. Why my tape always has a habit of turning over on itself, I don't know, it sticks to itself. And just keep putting them a little lower each time. And then I'm going to add, as you see, I actually haven't put a calyx on the back of that one. You're not going to be able to see them, so because everything's facing outwards, so if you don't want to put it, it really is sort of not necessary. Depends how particular you are about it. So then we're going to carry on. Just keep adding these. And I've used the smallest and the next size up for the leaf, which is just your ordinary plain leaf cutter, not the rose leaf cutter. As you can see, I'm just gradually going down just one, each one a little lower than the other. Don't put too much tape on it as you go along, because you'll find that you'll have a really big bulk of tape because the wire's there as well. So you only want a little, just enough to hold it while you put the next blossom on, or the next rose or leaf. This is so sticky that it's not too sticky on the fingers, it sticks to itself. This is a problem. So more leaves. And as you can see, we're gradually getting some on there. Okay, we've got about halfway along now, and as you can see, it's growing beautifully. We haven't got much more to do. I've added them alternately on the main stem so that we've got the roses which can be put to either side, and then the blossoms in between, so we can adjust them at the end. This takes a little bit of time to do. The roses are very, very tiny, but honest and truthfully, for the display it makes, it's really worthwhile having a go at. And once you've mastered the technique of making these quick roses, you'll find it's quite easy to do any size. You can go as big or as small as you like. And make sure you leave enough stem to arrange it. Don't put the stem too tightly on the main stem. The stems of the blossoms, I mean, don't put them too tight on, otherwise you'll find you've got nowhere room to manoeuvre them. And you need to arrange them after you've finished. So I suppose I've left about a centimetre gap from the actual bloom until the stem itself, so it gives me a chance to manoeuvre them about a bit. Some more roses on. Because when I do them, finally arrange them, I want one to go sort of a little bit to one side and then to the other side. Not far to go now. And we've nearly used up all our roses now, so the wire I've used for the actual main stem is 33 centimetres long, which if you're still using inches, is 12 inches, so that's about a good length for get a dozen tiny roses along there. And we're nearly coming to the end of it now. A few more leaves there just to fill in, and I want to just going to trim off the end in a minute of these flowers. I don't want it to cover the end of the wire, so I'm going to trim those off there. I've got one left there. What I'm going to do is to bend this around like this. If you remember, I had a loop on one end of my wire, and what I want to do is to make a hook on the other end. I'll seal that in a bit, and then I'll finish adding the flowers on once I've done that. turn over that to make a hook, which will you put your ring together. And I'm going to add on a couple of more flowers to that. A little bit fiddly at the end, but I want to cover that hook and loop. With leaves and flowers. Just that end bit was a little bit fiddly, but it's not too bad. Put some more leaves in there to fill it in. Just arrange them around your ring so that you can see it fills it in. That's where my tweezers come in handy, because I can manoeuvre them to whatever way I want to. You can push them from side to side if you wish, or wherever you want to put them, how you like them. And you'll have plenty of time to arrange these and put them as you wish. Just make sure they're all sitting correctly. Plenty of time to do it. You can make sure that they're perfectly even, and there you've got your little ring of flowers.